Sergeant Hayashi's intention in writing this rather droll letter to his apparent friend, Evelyn, could have been to reassure her in some sense. His language is succinct and colloquial, which most likely indicates that Hayashi is either generally unexpressive or corresponds with Evelyn enough to the point where he doesn't feel like he has to explain what his emotions are to her at every point. Hayashi frequently uses crass colloquialisms, a rhetorical technique that would likely make the recipient feel more relaxed, while enforcing a bond that him and Evelyn had made already. Hayashi's tone is quite informal, his vocabulary is basic, and his descriptors are very tame. He tells Evelyn no fooling, and even draws a goofy face, possibly a caricature of himself. He uses maybe the most overused commonplace in modern America. "How's the weather in Iowa?" But why work so hard to assure her, you might wonder? Even if he were not stationed in a combat zone, his friend might still worry that some unforeseen attack could occur. On December 7th, 1941, less than 2 years before Hayashi wrote this letter, the Japanese bombed the American naval base of Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This had been the first military action on American land since the Civil War almost 75 years ago. Naturally, this would create a feeling of insecurity and uncertainty in an America that had thought itself invulnerable to direct attack. If it were indeed Hayashi's intention to make Evelyn less afraid, it would have been because of this reason. Even when located in a well-fortified military base in California, it would be impossible to predict every action that the Japanese might have taken. Having absolute certainty was virtually impossible. He only seeks to assure his friend that normalcy was predominant in his life at this time. Under different circumstances, a male writing a letter to his female friend might try and sound impressive or cavalier. This tells us a lot about Hayashi's character. Assuming that all of my assumptions are correct, he chose to make his friend feel safe instead of bragging to her. What a guy. We then come to asking ourselves the key differences between the way someone would communicate in our time and during the time of Hayashi and Evelyn. And the major difference that comes to mind is that now communication is instantaneous, while back then it would have taken weeks, if not months, to deliver a certain message to a person. But at the core of Hayashi's intentions, even though his mode of communication may have been slightly different, was compassion. And that's a trait that transcends era and culture, as I believe he's proven to us.